Following up in the same form as our recent video comparing ultra-compacts for city life, we've decided to answer another comment from a viewer, this time looking for a terrain-capable reversible seat model for rural life in a place where the stroller's longevity will be crucial, as getting a hold of parts or services is more expensive. The viewer said that they're soon moving to the Philippines, where purchase choice is limited and where imports are expensive, and that they wondered which of 4 models might best suit rough roads with a lack of sidewalks and dirt roads between the Bumbleride Era, the Uppababy Vista V2, the Cruz V2, and the Bugaboo Fox3. And, as I've had similar conversations about this sort of situation before with patrons, I thought that today we'd again directly address this question in video form, looking at each model in turn in relation to this specific set of circumstances, and hopefully also helping any other people out there with somewhat relatable situations. Before I get started though, as I said in the last video, if after watching this you'd like to see more content of its sort, covering other specific sets of models as related to a specific set of life factors, please leave a comment. Alright, jumping straight into it then. The best model out of these 4 for this situation in my opinion is the Vista V2, with my reasoning being that it has the sturdiest chassis design overall, meaning less worries about larger bars and connection points actually breaking. And, in terms of handle adjustment and the folding mechanisms, it also has quite strong and simple internal components, which means that you don't have to worry about these areas developing alignment problems or failing in a way where you'll need to disassemble them and replace components. The Vista V2 also has the second best terrain capability, the Era being a bit better due to its larger wheel size, but the best suspension and also the best ability to handle wear from traveling over bumpy ground all the time without loosening up too much. Note that maintenance is still crucial, however, in particular lower down on the chassis, where both the brake system and front wheel housings are susceptible to issues from dust building up and rust. But as long as you clean out the wheel wells and keep these areas, as well as the ball bearings on the wheels, properly lubricated, this model can hold up for a very long time, even in a rougher environment. Second up for these conditions is the Era, whose chief advantages over the Vista are its large wheels and its simpler brake system, which won't be as susceptible to grit buildup or rust. At the same time though, the reasons that I place it below the Vista are firstly that, despite the fact that its air-filled wheels increase shock absorption, an environment like this is apt to have a lot of sharp rocks and stuff, meaning dealing with punctures and tire and tube replacement. And secondly, the Era's handle is a bit weak in relation to the weight of the chassis, especially the front end, which only gets heavier with the seat reversed and reclined. And with rougher road conditions being a constant factor, I would be worried about significant loosening or even broken elements in this sort of environment within a couple of years of use. The last 2 models are a bit of a toss-up, with the Fox3 having better terrain capability than the Cruz V2, but being the model that fails the most in terms of potential longevity issues, due to the complexity of fragile internal elements in its central bar, responsible both for the model's multiple folding functions and for adding suspension. Normally my take on this area of the Fox is that, through learning how to fold the model properly, not overdoing the weight requirements, and proper lubrication, most problems can be avoided. But this is assuming that off-road travel will be an occasional as opposed to a constant factor, and while I don't entirely know how rough the roads are in the place that this viewer refers to specifically, anytime we're talking about rural conditions and dirt roads, my preference is generally to go for a model that's a bit simpler and hardier, especially if it will be hard to get service or spare parts if something goes wrong. And last up then is the Cruz V2, where the only reason that it's placing last here is again that I'm not entirely sure of how rough the terrain is, and while the Cruz V2 can handle broken sidewalks and flat packed dirt roads just fine, stuff like big chunky gravel or ruts from dried mud after a particularly rainy period, for example, would be a lot less comfortable for the model. Choosing between the Vista and Cruz in terms of terrain capability is about fine-tuned knowledge of the environment. I wouldn't recommend the Cruz for an older European city with really rough cobblestones, for example. But for, say, small town areas of Spain or Greece with some rougher roads but a very dry climate, it will work fine, performing more or less the same as, and requiring the same sort of maintenance as, the Vista. In any case, we hope you found this video interesting, and if you did, please subscribe, or even hit the donate button if you're so inclined, as this sort of support really helps us to continue making videos in the future. If you'd like to know more about any of these models, we have standalone reviews for all of them that go into a lot more detail, and links have been added in the description. In addition, if you're currently shopping for a stroller, we have a buyer's guide on our Patreon page, which lists a wide range of models that we recommend, with a lot of technical and lifestyle-related information. You can find it by following the link in the description as well. Thank you.